Welcome to Pagan Perspective. I'm Terry, your Tuesday subject host, and this week's topic is on pagans going to Christian churches. This week's topic comes to us from Danielle P., who said, I consider myself first and foremost a pagan. However, I live in the Houston area and I love to attend Joel Osteen's church, Lakewood. You may have heard of him as he is a best-selling author. Lakewood describes themselves as a Christian church, but have many critics in the mainstream Christian community for not really being Christian. The main criticism is the positive message. Basically, Joel preaches the law of attraction in Christianese. I do not believe the church is really Christian because it's so different from my fundamentalist upbringing. I've often gone so far as to believe it's a different Jesus they are worshipping because of the basic differences compared to other Christian churches. Does it pose a conflict to being a pagan to love going to church there? I'd never tell the people there I'm pagan unless I'm asked flat out, what is your point of view? To answer your question quite simply, absolutely, emphatically no. I do not think that it poses any conflict whatsoever at all, in any way. In fact, I think that it's really lovely that you can find beauty and inspiration in other people's religions. I have very strong beliefs about this topic, and let's just say that I think that all of the arguments for why it would be a problem are really bad arguments. Really bad. Okay. I could write a whole series of books on all of the many reasons why I think every single one of those arguments is bad. A whole series of books. Just loads of them. You also brought up some interesting points that I have to say I come at from a slightly different point of view. You mentioned that you don't consider Lakewood a Christian church because it's so different from your fundamentalist upbringing. And I have to say, I definitely do consider them a Christian church. Fundamentalism is a controversial thing within Christianity, and it caused a schism within it. And the whole point of it being a schism is that there are people on the other side that are still Christians. Obviously, this is complicated by the fact that the whole point of them being considered fundamentalists is that they don't consider those other people really Christian, but we don't have to necessarily be fundamentalists and take their side, so I definitely don't. I mean, obviously it makes sense that since you were raised around fundamentalists that you would be instilled with this idea as well, but I think we need to be careful of limiting our idea of what Christianity is and can be that much. No one person or one group has say over what being a real Christian is or is not. And I also don't think it's really fair to limit our understanding of what Christianity is by our first or worst contact with it. It's really starting to bother me the degree to which people are judging all Christians and all of Christianity by the beliefs and arguments of the extremists, and I don't think that it's ever fair to judge a group by its extremists or its worst members. Think about this. As of last year, there were over 2 billion Christians in the world. No human brain can actually conceptualize 1 billion people, much less 2 billion people. And when I say over 2 billion, I don't just mean a little bit over 2 billion. I mean hundreds of millions of people more than 2 billion, which isn't an insignificant number in itself. So you have to think, with that many Christians in the world, there is bound to be a huge diversity in the amount of beliefs and practices among those people. 2 billion people who believe different things and practice Christianity differently. And what you have to realize is that if you lived to be 120 and you met as many people as you possibly could in that lifetime, and every single one of those people was Christian, the amount of people that you will have met would still be a tiny, almost insignificant fraction of the amount of Christians that exist in the world. Just a tiny fraction of that huge diversity within Christianity. And if you don't move around a lot, then you're very geographically limited in the kinds of Christians that you're meeting. But even if you did move around a lot and traveled as much as you could, you're still only meeting this tiny fraction of this huge diversity. So to come into the world and find that the first group of Christians that you meet, or the loudest group of Christians that you meet, are what Christianity is and what Christians as a whole are like, and then to assume that all those other people that are calling themselves Christians aren't really Christian or aren't as Christian or as entirely Christian, seems to me to be a little bit short-sighted. I often hear representations of what Christians believe and what Christians do and Christians act like, but often it's just representations of a few bad experiences that don't represent the whole, or it only presents one side of something that's actually really controversial within Christianity and has been for many years. Which means, obviously, that lots of people have lots of different beliefs about it, and that doesn't make them any less Christian, even if their beliefs completely oppose each other. Just because someone's kind of chill and open-minded and less obnoxious about their religion doesn't mean that they're less religious. I think it's time that we stop treating those open-minded Christians as the weird ones or the exceptions, and start treating the extremist, closed-minded ones as the weird ones. I think the ability to see the beauty and lessons and wisdom and inspiration that other religions can offer is a great way to foster understanding and positive relationships with people of other religions. And I think it's a really important move to start seeing the beauty in a religion that's so often seen as the enemy. I get that some people probably don't want to show any interest because they think if they show the slightest bit of interest in Christianity, it'll be shoved down their throats and no one will accept the fact that they are pagan and not Christian and they don't want to be Christian. But you don't have to let that ruin it for you. Personally, I can frequently be turned off by Christianity because it's just not to my taste, but that doesn't mean that there aren't Christians and Christian teachings out there that I can find beautiful and inspiring and awesome. When I was an undergrad, I took a New Testament class because I felt it was important to alleviate my ignorance, and also the teacher was really awesome, so I knew it would be good. And I have to say, it was really, really good. I really loved being able to study it from a scholarly point of view and understand the text within its historical context, and also study the different authors and their intentions and different perspectives and how that influenced things, and study the different translations and a lot of things that are really common misconceptions. But what I loved most about it is that even as someone who has no interest in being a Christian and generally finds Christianity not really to my taste, there was still so much there that was just inspiring and beautiful and interesting and awesome. There's really well done metaphors and fantastic arguments and good ideas and interesting things that are just worth at least considering. Plus, the non-canonical gospels are just so much fun. All of my religious studies friends keep telling me that I have to read the Song of Songs because it's supposed to be just like sexy and awesome and beautiful. If I could find a church that went into that kind of thing, then I would definitely consider going to church, especially if the person who did sermons could read ancient Greek and Aramaic and talk about translations, because, oh yeah, I'd definitely be there. And I know those kind of churches exist. I know they do. I just wouldn't be willing to go through the process of elimination to try to find it on my own. I don't know. I mean, Lakewood isn't really my thing, but if you find it inspiring and you get positive things out of it, then why not, right? I mean, you said that the mainstream Christian community doesn't like it because of its positive message, and I mean, I can see how you could spin it that way, and you don't necessarily have to agree with their criticisms, but I don't think that was entirely fair, okay? Personally, I think that they're valid criticisms, and I think that pointing them out just helps my point that there is a lot of diversity within the Christian community and a lot of things that are very controversial within it, and people come down on different sides of it. Among the Christian community, I think the three biggest criticisms of Joel and the Lakewood Church are that, first off, he runs the church like a business. Secondly, his teachings on wealth, which are basically that wealth is a deserved blessing from God and is this desirable prosperity that everyone should seek and shouldn't be felt bad about or all given away. The third thing is that he believes that homosexuality is a sin, which is controversial within Christianity, and not all Christians do believe it is a sin, so yeah, he's controversial for that. Obviously, he's not someone who focuses on sin in his sermons, and he's not particularly hateful about it, but he still has specifically said that he does believe that it is a sin, so, I mean, that makes him controversial. And I can't say whether you agree with those things or not, but even if you didn't agree with those things, I don't think that you necessarily have to agree with everything that a church believes or with everything that a preacher believes or says in order to find it inspiring and worth your time. So I don't think that that needs to necessarily make a difference for you. I just, thought I would put that out there. I have written some blog posts recently that discuss some of my ideas on things that are related to this topic. Basically, I wanted to write a post in response to some criticisms of Christo-paganism, but I have so much to say and so much to explain, and there's so many different arguments going on that it's turned out to be a really long thing, and I haven't even got around to addressing that issue yet. I've just been taking it post by post of going into other things that lead up to that. So I have one post that's about Christianity and Orthodoxy and the way we think about Christianity. I have some that go into the boundaries of what Christianity is, which relates a little bit to what I said in this video. I have another one addressed to neo-pagans called The Christians Didn't Steal Your Anything, which is obviously a little bit controversial. And I also have a couple of posts on beliefs that I think might be barriers to getting along with people of differing beliefs, all of which I think is somewhat relevant. So if you want to check those out, you are welcome to in the doobly-doo. And if you want to discuss those things or disagree with me, then it's probably best to do it on those websites, because YouTube comments not the best place for discussion and debate, because, character limits, and obviously I tend to be wordy, so I don't know. Anyway, point of the video, I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with going to church as a pagan if you want to and find it enjoyable. In fact, I think that it's great that you do, and I think that it's great that you can find inspiration in other religions, and I think that really helps us to move towards being able to relate to and get along with other religions. So, bravo, madam. Anyway, thank you for being awesome and for giving us such a great and important topic. I hope you're all having a fantastic November, and I wish you all the best. It is 3 a.m. and I must go to bed because I'm tired and my voice hurts. And I need to wear clothes that actually fit me, because, yeah.